Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller, and can I tell you something that might sound like a lie? Sorry to set you up, friend, but okay. So I have noticed, this is such a random thing, I've noticed that I feel like my lips are getting bigger. And this is why, stay with me. I know it sounds like a lie. I know. People say it all the time, like when they get filler. They're like, oh, like my lips, they just like naturally plumped with age. That's a lie, right? Like they went and got filler. I would tell you if I got filler, right? Like I've told you everything else. Anything else I've done with my body, like I've told you. So, and I'll tell you why I think that they're growing. Not growing, they've been feeling extra plump. And it's because I've been using the Lanolin oil, lip oil, whatever. The tube that I picked up, I got this in a goodie bag back in May. I used my first tube. It was strawberry. It was beautiful. I loved it. I got 2 more strawberry tubes and then I got tinted balm of the same formula. It's incredible. Oh my gosh, like so every time I put it on before bed, my lips in the morning just feel so like squishy and big, and it's just like a weird phenomenon. Like I don't know. This past weekend I was in Scottsdale, Arizona. It was so much fun. They have a dry heat, y'all. Like it is dry heat. It felt so good. Like I enjoyed it immensely in comparison to sometimes Missouri is sticky, sweaty. You know, like it's a little moist in the air. It's got humidity. My hair curls. This past weekend, like my hair, it looks great. But I don't know what it was, but maybe the dry heat, my lips were really trying to absorb the oil, the lip oil. But like this morning when I woke up in like my hotel, my lips just felt so pillowy. And that sounds insane. But every time I use Lanolips, I don't know what it is, but I feel like my lips are slowly getting bigger. It could literally be that they're now hydrated and that I've been dehydrated and disgusting for the past 25 years, but I love it. I love it so much. And I used to, like this past year, I told myself that I could, get Botox and do those things. But I told myself I could not get filler in my lips until I was at my goal fitness level. I have not made my goal fitness level, so I'm not getting any filler in my lips. But I will say, I almost feel like I don't want it because Lanolips gives me like the same thing. I don't know. So I've been working on my beauty routine, trying to simplify things down. And ultimately it's because of like my packing situation. I am getting better at packing. I'm proud of myself. So this past weekend I went to Scottsdale. I left Friday morning, took a flight there, had all day Friday, all day Saturday, and then I left Sunday and I came back. I told myself I was not going to worry about work. This was a weekend for just me. I was not going to stress about the things that I should be working on, right? Because we all have those things that we're like, I really need to do this or I need to do that. I did bring my both work computers, but I had to do one thing on my 9-to-5 job, and I did not open my podcast or social media or any of that laptop. I did not open it once. I really wanted it to be a weekend that I was able to recharge and also fall in love with myself a little bit. These weekends that I solo travel places, it is a chance for me to really practice being confident and self-assured. using common sense, making sure that I can navigate through a city I've never been in before. And it's a really fun challenge, and I enjoy it immensely. But the challenge always starts with my packing. So reducing the amount, because I didn't bring any podcast stuff. I left it all at home, so that reduced my luggage. I didn't bring my microphone or my camera, so that was nice. And I got my outfits, and I did not bring extra outfits. I felt confident in the clothes that I was packing. I only packed 3 shoes, so a chunk sandal, a flat sandal, and then the tennis shoes I wore. That was also very hard. I feel like I want to pack so many shoes, and you have to find shoes that work with all your outfits. So I brought the platform, and I brought the flat ones. But I was really proud of my packing situation, and I'm getting faster at it, and I feel more organized when I get on the plane. Now, I will say I wasn't that organized, because Saturday I forgot to check in to my flight. So I love Southwest. I used to really enjoy Delta, but this year when I was booking, I went to Nashville for my friend Adriana's bachelorette, and they were taking Southwest, so I took Southwest, and I've been doing the points with Southwest, so any of my trips I've taken, I've booked Southwest. And if you've never flown Southwest, you have to check in. So there isn't assigned seating, like you don't purchase your seat, you check in. So it's like 24 hours before your flight leaves, you have to check in. And I forgot to all day Saturday, because I wanted to be, in this past 2 weeks, I have not had social media. I deleted it all off my phone. I really wanted to realign myself and to get quiet and to see what I really wanted. And I feel like sometimes when you overconsume content, your ideas and your wants and your goals are skewed by what other people are doing. It's the overconsumption where your brain no longer thinks about its own dreams. It's the judgment, and it's the saying, oh, like they're doing this, they're successful, they're beautiful, they have a beautiful life, I want to do that too, right? It can be fashion. Something goes viral, you're like, oh, the viral straws, the viral cups, the viral pants, the viral lip gloss, the Dyson, whatever, right? And so I have felt a little lost in my core of who Logan is, right? And I really wanted to get clear on that. And for me to do that, I needed to reduce the consumption of social media. It had gotten kind of out of hand. I talked about this in our last Monday episode, so you can go back and listen to that. But I deleted all the social media apps. I was so present in Scottsdale. I was so just wrapped up. I brought a journal. I was very happy. And I brought a digital camera. So I just got the Canon G7X Mark II is what it's called. I love it. Okay, it's a compact camera, which I've not had a compact digital camera since middle school, and I forgot how portable they are. I know it's a compact camera, right? Duh. But it fits in my Lululemon chest bag, my little fanny pack or whatever. It fits in that. So I love my big camera, right? For wedding photos and professional events, I love it. But the digital camera, the convenience of it. Also, guys, my phone is still full on storage. I bought a terabyte. I've yet to kick it off. I've got to do that. We're setting some boundaries, okay? Setting boundaries with the overconsumption of certain social medias, or even paying attention to too many people. Just wherever your focus is what you become. So sometimes I'll like follow someone out of the like mutual respect or kindness, but I really don't get that much from their content. But it's like, it's almost a waste of time, especially like when you're scrolling through stories. Like, can you even remember the last 4 stories that you saw, right? So I just wanted to take a total step back from looking and scrolling because it wasn't productive. And if I'm gonna get clear and work on my goals or clean out my phone storage, right? Like I've been saying I'm gonna clean out my phone storage. I've been saying I want to clean out my photos since 2018, 19, and 2020, right? Like I've been wanting to do this. I've been putting it off. It's to the point my phone is full. It is full. I've had to delete apps. Like it was almost like this thing where I had to delete the social media apps because I was fed up. But it was also because I didn't have enough storage and things weren't loading properly. So I had to delete them. But I was so focused. I brought a journal and I brought my digital camera. I hardly ever brought out my phone. I called Garrett on Saturday night. I texted him Sunday morning when I was leaving. Obviously I talked to him on Friday. But like that was it. I completely just wanted to be in the moment. If you are taking a trip, if you are investing in yourself and the self-love, if you are doing something for you, right? You need to be so present, right? Like you need to just completely soak it in. Because what I have learned is whenever I pack for a trip, it's never as long as you think it is. Even like Friday, I had gotten up at 3 a.m. There's a time difference. So when I got to Arizona, my plane left at 7 o'clock in Kansas City, and by the time I got to Arizona, it was 7:40 Arizona time. So I lost 2 hours. I had a full day ahead of me. That was a long day. We had part of the conference that night. So I didn't go to bed until 10, 11 o'clock Arizona time, which then add 2 hours, and that's Kansas City. And then also I woke up super early, right? So that was a long day. But no matter how long that day was, it's still shorter than the entire trip, shorter than your life, right? Like, and your daily routine. And so in comparison, your trip is always so short. Even if you've been planning for this, I bought tickets for this event back in February. So I've waited all summer. This is my last solo trip of the summer. Everything else is family oriented, but I wanted to be so present. I wanted to soak it all in. And I've really been questioning myself and my wants and my needs. And I don't mean questioning myself as in like my values, because my values will always remain the same. Like I'm going to be honest, I am going to be kind, I'm going to love people where they're at. Like those are my core values. I'm not going to stray from them, but it's like questioning my purpose, questioning my routine, questioning what I want, questioning where I'm spending my time, right? I'm taking an audit. It's the end of summer. We have a few months left of 2023. Oh my gosh, I'm already trying to skip to 2024, right? Like I just want to be so very present. And I just got done with the book Golden Girl by Ellen Hildebrandt. And that book was a little hard for me to read. And not hard in the way that you think. Ellen Hildebrandt is a beautiful writer. I love her books. The first book I read of hers was The Perfect Couple. So good. I'm enthralled by her. She is amazing. But it was hard for me because, and this is not a spoiler, you will read on the back of the book, but the main character, and can you really say it's main character? Because in her books, in Ellen's book, I was mixing Hildebrandt and Ellen. In Ellen's books, she does perspectives from different individuals in the story, right? So, but the main character, Vivian, she is 50 years old. She is in her prime. She is in perfect health. She has beautiful children. Her life is perfect. Her life is happy. And she is running down the road, having the perfect day, and she dies. And so that really puts it in perspective for me. And reading that book was really, really hard because it put it in perspective on how life is so, so fragile. And we forget that, right? Like, we forget that we don't have all the time in the world, that our time is limited. And that might be hard for you to listen to, right? And I urge you, like, stay with me. Don't be afraid, because I've been there. I've been absolutely terrified of this, and I realized that we can either over focus on it, right? Like, we can be like really protective of our life. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Or I can't do this. Like, it's not to immobilize us for, that we shouldn't take risk or we shouldn't do things, but quite the opposite. We should be taking those risks as long as they're, like, I'm not saying jump in front of the train. I'm saying figuratively, make the jump that is going to put you outside of your comfort zone. Do the things that are hard and really challenge yourself, because if there is no challenge, if you are not working for that higher best self, then what are you truly living for? Because you might just be in the scarcity mindset where you're trying to preserve what is instead of looking for what could be. Because I have been so paralyzed in the last couple of years on trying to hold on to who I was in certain situations, or holding on to a routine, holding on to a friendship, and these things aren't serving me anymore. These are things that have completely, they're not the same, right? The one thing that we can count on is change. So I'm holding so tightly to these things, but even though I'm holding tightly to them, they're not the same as they were when I was 14, as I was 20, as I was 23. They're not the same. They're different because I'm different. I've had different life experiences. I've had several jobs. I've lived, I've done things, and I've made mistakes. I've learned from those mistakes. But some of those mistakes I still haven't learned from. And so I'm trying to acknowledge those mistakes or those choices, or holding so tightly to a version of myself that no longer serves me and no longer is giving me anything but being sorrowful or like angry, that why can't you still be like that? Or why does it have to change, right? Well, that's growth, that's life. We are meant to go into these cycles and these different parts in our life, and that's what makes it so beautiful. And I've been watching a lot of Gilmore Girls, okay? I've been watching a lot of Gilmore Girls. I love it. And so Rory has just gone to college, and Lorelai just bought an old inn. And she made this comment of her and her business partner, it's Melissa McCarthy's character, and her name is Suki in the story, if you've never ever watched Gilmore Girls. So they're standing on the front porch, and Lorelai is reflecting, and she's like, this is an amazing time in our lives, right? Like, we have been wanting this goal so very much, but it's not that the inn is part of our lives, right? Like, this hotel, right, has so much history before us, and it's going to have so much history after us. So we get to be part of its life. And that really hit me on, we can be so afraid of, we only get this one life. We only get to do it one time. We only get to be 25 at one time. We get 1 year. We get 365 days. And then after that, we're 26. We have a new challenge and a new this and a new that. And we can be so caught up in our own life that we don't realize that we get to be a part of Earth's life, right? Like I was comparing the inn to Earth, and I was like, we get to be a part of Earth's life, and what impact are we gonna make? The Lorelai and Suki buying the inn and revamping it, they were making improvements to the inn. They were, and I'm just in the first episode, so I don't know what that journey is going to look like for them. But for me, they improved the inn. How can I improve the earth? How can I improve this world? How can I improve the people in the society, the people in my town, the people in my community, and what kind of mark am I going to leave? Am I going to be able to do that if I'm holding so tightly to the person that I used to be? And I would say no. So I'm really trying to work through that. I'm really trying to let go of those things that I want to hold so tightly to, that I want so bad to keep in my life, right? But when we hold so tightly to things that are no longer for us, we are not allowing ourselves to receive the thing that is meant for us. It's just like dating a bad boyfriend, right? Like if you are dating a bad boyfriend, you are spending all your time with this boy, right? Like you are pouring into them, and he might not be reciprocating. He might not text you. He might go out with his friends all the time and never, call you unless it's on his time, right? Never wants to make a plan, just kind of very impromptu, sporadic. You're pouring so much into this relationship, but it's like pouring water in a desert. It completely gets absorbed, and where's your water, right? In comparison to watering a plant that is gonna grow and like bloom. So when you're spending so much time with a bad boyfriend, you aren't allowing for that good relationship to come into your life. You're not allowing like the space for even a new friendship that could develop into a relationship, because you're telling and you're giving a sign, right? Like if you're in a relationship, you are not giving the signal that you're free to be in another relationship, right? Because you're dating someone. So when you finally shed that bad boyfriend, then it signals, because if you're in a relationship, you're focusing on that relationship, good or bad. That's where your focus is going. When you allow yourself to shed that weight, you're now open to a new relationship, and that signals that the good guy, the perfect guy, the right guy is gonna come into your life, right? And that could be a friendship, that could be a job. It does not have to be a bad boyfriend, right? We've all had bad jobs, bad coworkers, bad bosses, bad situations, bad environments. And it's when you make that really, really scary action to make a change, to put the line in the sand and say, you know what, this time is gonna be different. I'm not gonna be who I was. I'm taking a step forward, and you can either choose it, right? Like you can choose it or you can ignore it. But if you don't choose it and it's not for you, then that's where you're gonna get a sign from God, a sign from the universe, and it's gonna become painful, right? Because it's gotta be forced out of you. So I always try to think, okay, like, is this actually for me, or is it going to get really, really, really difficult to where I'm forced out of it? Because there's been times in my life where I've been forced out of something that I wasn't willing to make the choice in saying, I have to cut ties, right? Like I have been in situations where it has completely wrecked me, and it has, like, in other words, brought me to my knees, where I had to cut ties because it had become so painful. And as soon as I did that, the good thing came along, something better came along, and I was just like, this is what I've been waiting for. Like, if I would have known, right? But we never know. So we have to take the time to get quiet with ourselves and to ask ourselves, what do we really want, and how are we going to make those really tough choices so that we are happier beings and we are living our life to our full capacity and we're not wasting it, because you never know what is going to happen. It could be losing a loved one. It could be losing your job. It could be, quite frankly, like Golden Girl, where Vivian lost her life. So I don't ever want to be in that situation where time is up and I'm regretful. I'm regretful that I didn't make those big, scary choices. I am not going to be regretful that I held so tightly to my past self that I wasn't ready to welcome my best self, my golden self, my highest self. So I've been trying to just get really, really quiet and to analyze what I truly want in this life. Where do I want to be spending my time? It's not on social media, lusting after someone else's life, wishing that I had their hair, wishing that I had their bone structure, wishing that I had their closet. Instead, what truly matters? Will I be wanting these things like at the end? No, like I'll be wanting to build community, wanting to build connections, wanting to pour into my friendships and my relationships, because that is what is most important to me. Connection. Oh my gosh, like I did not realize how much connection I've been lacking in the last couple of years. I went, and a lot of us did, went from college or high school, and then the pandemic hit and we lost a lot of community. We were in solitude. We were not going out. We weren't having the community. And it was a rebuilding period for me. The last couple of years, I didn't realize how much I missed it. In college, I had a sorority. I loved my sorority. I loved all the committees that I was on, and different, like I went to school for agriculture business. So I was in clubs, and on the agriculture side, I was in clubs I had minors in marketing and business administration, and I did sales contests, and that was so much fun, and there was so much community and so much connection. And after that, it was so abrupt. I love my husband, I love my dad, I love my brother, I love my sisters, my mom, my dads, I love them all, right? But family is important, and friends are not more important than family to me. Like I will put my family first, always. I love them so much, but there is something about having a friend that loves you because they chose you and they want to hang out with you. And I mean, guys, come on, like there's nobody who can get on your nerves like your family or your loved ones, right? Like there's nobody that can get on your nerves as much as them. You love them, but you want to strangle them, right? Like, oh, so I love them so much, but you sometimes need that outward eye, I guess, someone who can look at the situation, outside perspective. That's the word I was looking for. A friend is so good for that. A friend to grab coffee and to have conversation and just to make that connection. I really forced myself to get on boards in my community, to make those friendships and to build the connection. It has been so hard. Like I have pushed myself out of my comfort zone so much this past year, and just really trying to get outside the network I have. When you are not making those really, really difficult and hard choices to strike up conversation with someone completely random, it can be lonely, right? And making friends as an adult is extremely hard. Oh my gosh, like you go to work and you come home and you go to work again tomorrow. It's hard. And I really do want to thank my previous job. I was in an industry for the last 2 years. I'm in a life transition. I mean, when are we not in a life transition? But I transitioned out of my job and out of that realm in May. I started something completely new in May. And I do want to thank the past job that I had, because it really challenged me to pick up the phone and make connections. I was in a couple different locations that I did not know anybody. So I really had to pick up the phone, make calls with business owners, go out into the community and meet people. So I am very thankful that I was able to strengthen that muscle. And there's a quote by Steve Jobs, and it says, the only way to connect the dots is after the fact, right? So we have to look back and then be able to connect the dots. So we can't do it in the present. Our only hope is that in the future, the dots that we are making will connect. And I, like, the dot connected on why I was put in that position and why I was doing those things, even though it wasn't the forever destination for me. I learned to make connections and to push myself out of my comfort zone during that time. So this summer, I was able to really put that into practice, and it was no longer a mandatory thing. It was a thing that I wanted to do. Calling people, making plans. And I don't know about you, but I am somewhat of an introvert. I love to be at my house, and I hate small talk. I want to get on a deeper level. I want to talk about your dreams and your inspirations, or what you've really been struggling with. I hate surface level. I don't care about, take this with a grain of salt. I don't care about your job, okay? I don't care about what you do. I want to listen to what you're passionate about, because and I know myself, I held so much identity with my career and not my passions, right? Like, I would be more apt to say, hi, I'm Logan, I work at, instead of, hey, I'm Logan, I have a podcast, I love to garden, like the things that really make Logan, because I don't care about your job, right? That should be the least interesting thing about you, right? Like your hobbies, your passions, what you do for fun, that's what I want to know about. Or even, like, it doesn't have to be like only the good things. I want to hear about what you're struggling on. Or when we go to like an event, I am always second guessing what I'm wearing. It doesn't matter if it's a family event. It does not matter if it is a professional event. I am second guessing what I'm wearing. This is why I have a problem with packing, because I am overthinking it all, and I'm like, should I pack jeans or a skirt? Is it a big shoe, like a chunk shoe situation, or do I need to wear cowboy boots, or do I need to wear flats? Like, what is the vibe? Like, that is what gets me a little nervous for events, right? Or networking opportunities. I always worry about that. So when I get to an event and someone says, oh, I love your outfit, that is an immediate icebreaker for me to be like, thank you. I was very nervous to pick out my outfit because I want to stand out, right? But I don't want to stand out in a bad way. Nobody does. I don't want to be, and I just got done reading How to Be a Boss Bitch by Christine Quinn a couple months ago. And she says, I'd rather be overdressed, like I want to be beautiful, and she is beautiful, and I love her style, and she is always extravagant, but I just feel so insecure sometimes when I am beautiful and extravagant and all of those things, and other people might think that I'm too much. And that's something that I need to work on deeply. I should be taking tips from Christine Quinn on that aspect, but I'm not ready for that yet. So when I can let someone in on an insecurity, I think that kind of breaks the ice and allows it to be authentic and real, instead of thank you so much, like I like your outfit too. Like, I might like their outfit, but that is so surface level. Instead of saying, oh, I like your outfit, for me to say thank you. You know, I was very nervous on if my outfit was going to relay me and my personality, and I also wanted to be comfortable. And so like I was worried these pants might, you know, inhibit me from eating my supper. And when you can get below the surface and really connect with people, that's my favorite thing. It's not the surface talk. And when you have deep conversations with people, it can really light you up. Like, I love having these conversations. I'd love to chat with you, but my social battery can only take so much. I need to recharge. I need to stay at home. Friday nights in are my favorite thing. I'd rather save Saturday to do something outside, like go to the farmer's market, or, which I just did last weekend, I was so happy, but go to a farmer's market, or go to a cycle class, or like get some coffee, go out, meet a friend for coffee, go for a brunch. Like Sundays, I like to book in my weekends. Okay, so Friday I am in. Sunday I can be out. Friday I can be out. Saturday, I'm totally butchering this. I'm so sorry. I blame it on getting back from Scottsdale and kind of being tired. Friday, I want to be in. Saturday, I'm good to go out, but come Sunday, I want to be in again. I want to bookend my weekend. I want to have that time to self-charge, to like come together and not be stressed out. I need that time to myself. So instead of like focusing too much on that though, I think it's important to push out of that comfort zone and to meet new people. But when I am pushing myself out of my comfort zone, I need time alone so that I can be with myself, right? But when you are making these connections, when you're going out, when you're making these friends, it can be scary. And a good thing, and something I like to remind myself, is when I ask someone out for coffee, we do not have to be best friends. If I get lunch with someone, we do not have to be best friends. In the book, oh gosh, guys, I hope you had your Amazon out, because I am listing so many books. These books have been life-changing for me. But the book, the 20-something, oh my gosh, I'm butchering this. I've mentioned it before. It's one of my favorites, The Defining Decade. That's what it's called. I had to like close my eyes and visualize what the book looked like. But The Defining Decade talks about loose ties. And these are the people that it's your aunts, cousins, sisters, therapist's daughter who works somewhere that is your dream job. Let me get you connected. That's a weak tie. I said loose tie, but I meant a weak tie. That's a weak tie. It's not your like direct tie. If you're on LinkedIn, you see like it'll say first or second or third next to someone's name. So like it might say Logan Lee Miller first, and that means we have a direct connection. Second might be we don't have a connection, but we are both connected. Let's say my husband Garrett, we're both connected to Garrett. So that's our second. We're not in common, but you and Garrett have a connection, and Garrett and I have a connection. So we're a second connection. A third connection, you have like no ties to them at all, but it's those like second connections. It's where you and I might not have a relationship, but we know someone, a mutual someone that we have a relationship with, and that can introduce us. That can give us some common ground, because you never know who your next blessing is going to come from. You never know who is going to hold that puzzle piece that you have been missing. If you listen to last Friday's episode, I talked about this a little bit, where you never know where that education is going to come from, where that piece of information that you have been waiting for and dying for, you don't know where it's going to come from. So you need to be open to any and all information and any and all connections, because it might not, and this is not even to be not utilitarian, but it's where you benefit from everything, like you just want to take from everyone. I'm not saying that like, oh, make connections so that you can get what you want from people. No, like I'm talking about connection where it's mutually benefiting, and sometimes it feels even better to give when you can help someone in need who needs something that you have, and it might not even take that much energy, right? Like my aunt stopped by, we split my peaches that I got last weekend to make jam, and I've never made peach jam before. I talked about this in last week's episode. That's not the point. The point is, she asked me for a recipe and I gave it to her. That was an ask, we're a direct connection. It did not take me any time to give that to her. I typed it out. I was like, this is what I do. Here you go. I love you. I hope it's great. For me, it took me how many hours, how many days to get that recipe. And she was able to get that step up by a simple text message. You have so much knowledge in your body. You have so much experience in your brain. Something that could be so hard for someone else, but you know, like the back of your hand, because it's a passion project, because you work on it, because it's something that makes you so happy and comes second nature, that could be life-changing for someone else. But if you are too scared to step out of your comfort zone and to make a connection and see if you guys have something in common, then you're missing out, because that person could have something that you need as well. I honestly, like, I am not, the community that I live in right now, I do not know anybody from my childhood, right? Like, my best friends live in different states. Andrew just moved to Florida, to Tampa, Florida. Prayers to anybody who is in the hurricane right now. Oh my gosh, like Andrew and Rachel, they're in Florida right now, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, everyone involved, like all the safe prayers to you guys. Naomi lives in Iowa. My mom, my sisters, they live in Iowa. I have another sister who lives in Alabama. And so, like, anybody, my best friends, they're from like high school or college, like they don't live next to me. And I think this is a lot of us. We don't have our friends and our family just right next to us all the time. And so it can be really difficult when you just want to grab a cup of coffee, but you don't want to be alone. I think that's why we like social media so much. That's why I watch YouTube so much, because it feels like I am with a person. I am with my best friend. I watch their stuff every day, and I will continue to do that, right? I think that the overconsumption of social media that I was talking about in the beginning of that episode, that's where it's like so much, right? Like it's looking at Jim and John's and Susan and Mary's and all of these like accounts, but like having one person or two people, like I try to keep like the amount of podcasts I listen to, the amount of YouTube channels I listen to, I keep it to 4. Like 4 people. I love them. They're not in my same category. I love them so much. And that's why we like social media, because we feel connected even though we're not connected. But there's something so good about being in person. There's something so good about looking at a person right in front of you. And touch is so important, not to get creepy on you guys, but like physical touch is so important. And like a hug, greeting my friend, like I love to be embraced. I think we all do. maybe if you don't like touching, I don't know. But like when I see a friend that I haven't seen for a month or even 6 months, the first thing I do is I want to hug them. My bestie Madison, oh my gosh, like I went to coffee with, it was a new friend. I'd never gone to coffee with her, but it was a new connection. So I was sitting at one of my favorite coffee houses, Old Drum, and we're sitting across from each other, and I see my girl Madison, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I had not seen Madison in 2 months. And I apologized with the girl I was in front. I said, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be a bit rude. I'm going to greet my friend really quick. And so Madison comes into the coffee shop, and I see her, and I stand up. I was like, oh, you know, like, because she is one of the people who pours into me. She, like, I love her. And we have just such like a really good connection. Our humor is on point together. And as I saw her, I just like, we embraced, we hugged, and I forgot, I was like, oh my gosh, like how important is physical touch? Like it was just a whole moment. And I was like, Madison, as I'm hugging her, I was like, it's so good to see you. I'm so happy that our paths crossed. I hope that you have a great Friday. And she got her coffee, and we hugged one more time before she left, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, and that new connection that was right in front of me after we were done talking. I mean, we were at this coffee shop for an hour just conversing, and it's always a little awkward on a first date, you know, even if it's a friend first date, but afterwards, you know, like we hugged and we were like, hey, I'll see you later. I hope that you have a great day, you know? So physical touch is important. Seeing a person in front of you. During the conference this weekend, we're in groups of people, we were talking, and it's partly a networking event. There is speakers there, podcasters there. Honestly, like I got to meet, this year has been so amazing for me. I have like a list, I think we all do, of like celebrities or influential people that are our idols, that we love, that we like listen to every single day. There were people there this weekend that I listened to and have listened to for years. In May, going to the Dear Media event, Lauren Bostic, I've listened to for years, since I was a freshman in college, going to this event. And I got to meet Lauren, I got to talk to Lauren, I got to hug. Physical touch, like I said, like it just concretes it in your mind. And this is not to be weird, like take the weirdness out of it, oh my gosh, stop it. But like this weekend, I got to meet some of my like absolutely iconic, influential people that I love, and just I have their books, I've listened to their podcasts, and I got to meet them, I got to talk to them, I get to see them. And like that is so important. Even in a conversation, like when someone, like I know when I am in conversation with someone and I'll like laugh, right, and I'll like reach out and I'll touch their arm, that it's where you feel connection of like, oh my gosh, like I see you, right? It's the acknowledgement that they see you. I think, oh my gosh, that's so great when they just like, they acknowledge you, they get you, they understand you. And I've just been missing that. And so this year has been completely transformative. I cannot wait to see what the months have to offer, good or bad. I'm ready for it. I have the understanding that everything is not going to be perfect, right? And so I'm trying to embrace the struggle. And as Lindsay Schwartz says, you don't have to do life and business alone. You don't have to do it alone. That was like just one of the most important messages that I got this weekend. And if you do not follow me on social media, especially because I've been taking a posting break, I am super excited to announce my partnership with Let's Be Friends KC. So if you've listened to podcasts before, I mentioned Sydney Morehouse. She is the creator of Let's Be Friends KC. She hosts monthly events. It is a place where people come and connect. In February was a powerful month for me, guys. Oh my gosh, like I keep referencing it. But I was at training for my current job. I was in Wichita, Kansas, and I remember having a long day afterwards, trying to make that connection, trying to, flex that muscle. I went out to eat with a couple of my colleagues. They were all in higher positions than I was. So it was a really, really great opportunity to kind of like pick their brains and see what they were after. And I will say that dinner was life-changing for me because everybody was not happy. It was crazy. It literally, sitting at that dinner, I realized in that moment that these people are in higher positions than me and I don't want to be them. They're unhappy. They are angry. Like, I thought it was gonna get better. And like, just being at that dinner, I was like, no, this is not for me. And so that night I went to my hotel room, I took a shower, and I remember waiting for my hair to dry. I'm brushing it, I'm putting my stuff in it. I pull up TikTok and I stumble across Sydney's live. And she is, she introduced herself, she's talking, I cannot remember what she's doing, but I was like, I like this girl. I feel a good vibe. I went to her TikTok page. She said that she was a stylist in Kansas City, and I was like, you're kidding me. Here I am in Wichita, Kansas, I'm on TikTok, and I see someone who I like their vibe, they're on live, and they're from Kansas City. I was like, wow, it was like the perfect God moment. Everything was aligning. I commented on her live. I was like, what would you recommend for someone in business wanting, neutrals? And she commented, or she talked or whatever during the live. I said, thank you. I had immediately followed her on TikTok. I went to her Instagram. I followed her there. 2 days later, she posts an event. It was that night. She was talking about her Let's Be Friends KC event. And she was like, we have tickets, and I bought a ticket that night. After seeing her and just feeling like I needed to pivot, I bought a ticket. It was the day after a fundraising event. So that Friday, I had a fundraising event, and my mom was also coming to visit the weekend. So my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, they were all coming. I had, and this was an April event, so I bought it in February, and it was like sometime in April, I don't know. It's getting a little fuzzy now, but I just know I had a fundraising event on Friday. I was in big heels all night long, and I was parading around all the fundraising auction items. I was exhausted. I was tired. I had just worked a full day, and then I spent 5 hours at this volunteer event. And the next morning, and my mom and dad were home. Like, they had gotten to my house on Friday, and Garrett was having to host them without me. And I felt terrible, but the event was Saturday. And I had something in my gut tell me that this was not convenient, but I needed to be there. You ever have those moments where you're like, this is not convenient, but I've got to show up? It was like a download from the universe. I was like, Logan, get your butt there. You have got to be there. No matter how uncomfortable you are, no matter how nervous, or it was a cycle bar. And that's what got me started on cycle bar. But as I'm at this event, I knew I had to be there. And it was an hour away. It was in Leawood. And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm so sorry. I want to hang out with you. I have to go to this. I have to push myself, because I had already made the decision that I was going to leave my job at that time. And I needed to force myself to make connections and to start networking. And so I went to the event. I met some amazing women. I met Sydney, and throughout the course of this summer, we have chatted, we've become friends, and Sydney made a huge life move, and she is now in Austin, Texas, which is kind of perfect because I had a huge trip in Austin, Texas, and so as we're talking, it's kind of like a little nudge or a wink, a universe wink, and it's like things are aligning, right? And so she said, I'm going to Austin. I need someone to host the events. And at the time, I did not, my first thought was, oh, I hope she finds someone. This is so cool. This is a great opportunity. I've met so many people from the Let's Be Friends KC event. It's been such a good outlet for me. I'm finding community. I'm finding connection. I absolutely love it. And she reaches out. She said, hey, I thought of you. You are great. You're amazing. I think you can do this. I'd like to partner with you. Will you be the host for me? And in that moment, I hadn't even thought about it, right? I hadn't even considered it or thought about it. And I was instantly so grateful and knew that this is something I wanted to do. And this was going to help me and prepare me in my next chapter. And so I'm so excited to announce that I am the host of Let's Be Friends KC. Sydney and I have worked on our September event. If you are a transplant to Kansas City, if you are from Kansas City and looking for friends, looking for a network, I know it is so hard to find friends as an adult. I've struggled with it for the last 2 years out of college. It was so easy to just get to know these girls, and I am so excited for our September 6th event. It's at 5:30. And if you want more details, go to Let's Be Friends KC on Instagram and find out the details. We're gonna do a fusion fitness event. Afterwards, we're going to get appetizers and connect and have conversation, go deeper with one another. I have truly, this has been something that has been so organic for me and so falling into place. I can't help but think that everything that I've gone through in the past 2 years, everything that I've gone through, it helps prepare me for this, right? The dots are starting to connect. I don't know how they'll connect in the future, but right now things are aligning and I'm feeling so good. I know I have so much work more to do in my personal life, and the only way I'm going to be able to navigate this is with someone else. And this past weekend in Scottsdale, during one of the events, I heard a really profound quote, and it said, oh my gosh, what was her name? She was absolutely amazing. I've got to pull her up because I want you guys to check her out. She was phenomenal. I'm so sorry it's really late right now. I cannot remember her name. Jen Gottlieb, Gottlieb. Jen said this. She said, nobody can do it for you. Whatever you're wanting, whatever you are working towards, nobody can do it for you. But you do not have to do it alone. And she was talking about how she relied on her friends, how she relied on her family, how she made the connection. And her speech was actually about connection as well. And it just hit me in my heart, and I was like, you are so right. I do not have to navigate my struggles alone. I do not have to be by myself, because when you're isolated, that's when things get really scary and you don't have that outside perspective. You aren't able to take a bird's eye view instead of being in the weeds. So you don't have to do it alone. You can find connection. You can find a friend. If you're in the Kansas City area, please come get a ticket, and you can find them at Let's Be Friends KC on Instagram. Check it out. I hope to see you there. I've just really been finding these in-person events have been so impactful and life-changing for me. The one I went to in May, the one I just went to, and all the trips that I've been doing, and all the coffee dates I've been getting, it has truly opened my eyes to so much. And I would not be in the place I am right now without pushing myself out of the comfort zone to do those things. So I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you're on YouTube, if you are on the podcast app, we have a YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, we are on all the podcast apps. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.